Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we're going to look at how we can add buttons to our UI, and we're going to look at a variety of different buttons we can use. Now, in order to structure the buttons on our UI, we're actually going to make use of a thing called a button bar, which contains a set of child buttons that will align them in a row along our UI. So just below our switch, we're going to create a new button bar. And our button bar is going to have two things. To start with, it's going to have a main axis size, which is going to be equal to main axis size min. And second, it's going to have a children set. And just children set is going to contain widgets, and those widgets are going to be buttons in our case. So let's just define a few buttons. We're going to start with the raised button. So we're going to create a new raised button. The raised button requires one thing, but we're going to define two things. So we're going to define a child object, and this child object is just going to be a const text field. It's just going to have the word raised, and our onPressed is basically just going to be an empty function. So we'll hit save, and we should see a button appear on the UI. Cool. Now we're also going to define a second raised button, or we're actually going to define a second, yep. But we're going to just make this a const because we're going to make it a disabled raise button. You don't have to make it a const, but I'm just going to make it in this case. So put that in a new line. And again, we have to make a child field. It's going to be constant text. This is just going to be disabled. And the onPressed we're just going to leave as null because we don't really want it to do anything. And when we actually define it as onPressed null, we get that disabled field because there's no chance that it could trigger a function, so the button is never actually activated. Fantastic. Now we're going to have a look at the flat buttons. So in order to do that, we're going to make a copy of our button bar, basically right below it. And the only real difference we need to make is this raised button is going to be a flat button. And we're going to change this text field here to be flat. We'll hit save, and you can see that, yeah, now we've just got these flat little buttons. They are still buttons, but they're flat. And the final one we're going to have a look at is the outlined button. So for that, we're going to make a copy of the button bar one more time. And for this one, we're going to make our outline button. And the outline button doesn't actually have, well, it doesn't have a visibly disabled version of itself. So what we're going to do is make it a raised button, because the raised button looks exactly how the outline button should look if it's disabled, and you'll see that in one sec why. So we've made it just a raised button. And we'll change its text field to be outline. Perfect. As you can see there, see how the disabled button looks exactly how you'd expect the outline button to look. So yep, it's a button, it's good. So in the next video, we're going to have a look at how we can set and make an image view in this UI here. So I will see you in that video.